How's it going, Pokemon fans? CJ here from JollyMonz YouTube channel, and for today's videos, I'm going to be playing probably not one of the best decks in the format, but in my opinion, one of the most fun decks, and that is Archie's Blastoise. Now, I know this deck isn't too popular because this season, to my knowledge, it hasn't done much in the way of top 8s or wins. So I imagine some people might not know about this. Obviously, if you've been playing Expanded for a while, or even if you've just been playing for a couple years, you would know about it. But to those who are newer to Expanded, they might not have heard about it yet. I don't know. But the whole idea is to get Blastoise in play turn 1, ideally. If not turn 2. Any later than that, you're kind of setting yourself back. And you want to get it in play quickly because you want to use Deluge like as early as possible to get your attackers ready as early as possible. Deluge, as often as you like, you can attach water energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. Now, how are we getting this in play on turn 1? With Archie's Ace in the hole. If it is the only card in your hand, you play it, take a water Pokemon from your discard, put it right into play, draw 5 cards. So the idea of the deck is to get Blastoise into the discard pile, get rid of your hand until you only have Archie's Ace in the hole, play it, put Blastoise into play, draw 5 cards, and start throwing energy down and attacking. Now, there's a couple different attackers in for the deck, and a lot of them are just in here, like, there's a lot of one-ofs for different scenarios. Originally, the most generic basic attacker for the deck was Keldeo. Secret Sword, 50 plus 20 for each water energy on it. So with Blastoise's ability, you can just stack a ton of energy on it really quickly. And then the Russian ability is pretty good too. Once per turn, if it's on your bench, you just put it in the active position. If you get a Float Stone on this, you kind of just get free retreat for everything. Because, take the Keldeo with the Float Stone, you rush in, you retreat to whatever you want. But, I mean, it's generally just here for the attack. 3 energy, you hit 110 damage. But because of Blastoise's ability, you can just in one turn go 6 or 7 damage, or 6 or 7 energy, deal a ton of damage to something pretty quickly. This is just kind of the generic attacker. But the rest of them in the deck are here for specific scenarios. You have Articuno. And this kind of has like 2 scenarios where it's good. You got the first attack, which is Chilling Sigh. Opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. This is best for when you can't get your Archie's Ace going turn 1 or 2, and you need to slow the game down a little bit, stop your opponent from attacking. Just use Chilling Sigh, hope to stay asleep. Doesn't work all the time, but it's a plan B. And Tri-Edge, 3 energy, basically, because we're only using water energy. 20 damage plus 40 for each heads you flip, and you flip for the 3 coins. So 1 head 60, 3 heads you do, I'm bad at math, it's early, 140. Yeah, you do 140. And the main benefit with this is the Ancient trait. If it knocks out an opponent's Pokemon from damage, you take an extra prize card. So where this really comes in handy is against the 1 prize decks, Night March in particular, because the Night Marches are really easy to knock out with Tri-Edge, especially with Muscle Band. So let's say they're attacking with Joltik. Tri-Edge, you just need to flip 1 coin to do the 60 damage. Actually, the Tri-Edge with 1 heads knocks out the Pumpkaboo and the Joltik. But if you have a Muscle Band attached to the Articuno, you don't even have to get a heads. You can get 3 tails, and it'll do 20 plus the 20 from the Muscle Band. Automatically knock out on Joltik. And you put the prize rate in your favor because you're taking 2 prizes instead of 1, which you normally would be taking. So this is really beneficial against the Night March matchup. Garbodor, if you're really lucky, it can help because you can hit 140 with 3 heads. If you have a Muscle Band, you can reach 120 with 2 heads. But I'm going to say this right now. The Garbodor matchup is pretty poor from what I've seen. I feel like that's almost an auto loss. I might be wrong, but that's just from my experience. Or another one of the attackers we have is Lapras. The collect comes in handy, but I found like the main time I'm using this is against, like, obviously any of these go well against like the Fire decks, but like if you're going up against Ho-Oh or one of the Darkrai decks, Blizzard Burn plus Muscle Band gets a knockout on any Darkrai. I'm just now realizing that Ho-Oh has 190, so that's a little bit rough because you're only hitting 180, but I don't think Ho-Oh is too popular in... No, I think Ho-Oh is pretty... Anyways, you hit 180 with Blizzard Burn, knocking out Darkrai's. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. Tauros, if people are playing that. Anything with 180. And then, of course, Water Pokemon, good against Turtonator, Volcanion, stuff like that. Collect is pretty decent when you're trying to get set up. Just 1 energy, draw 3 cards. It's on a decent body too, 190 HP. So, and then the GX attack, depending on the matchup, you probably won't even use this because, especially since Guzma's around. But if you have to, 3 energy, 100 damage, Pokemon's paralyzed. It's not really the one you want to use, but it's an option. Another thing about, like, Blastoise attack isn't bad either. 4 energy, 60 plus 10 for each water energy. Similar to Keldeo, you don't want to attack with Blastoise, but if you have to, it's not bad. Tapu Fini, pretty decent. 1 energy, 20 damage, you can switch to one of your bench. This can do a decent amount of work, but I found it's mostly in here for Hydro Shot. You discard 2 energy from this Pokemon and you do 120 to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Now, one thing I've done with this a lot is if my opponent is playing Shaman, like if I'm going up against Night March, or what else plays Shaman? Darkrai, I think, plays Shaman. I'm not 100% sure. But Hydro Shot, discard 2 energy, 120 Shaman. That's a knockout. Tapu Storm, it's a pretty good attack too. Shuffle your opponent's active Pokemon and all cards attached to it back into the deck. Again, it's really going to depend on what matchup you're going up against, but I haven't found myself using Tapu Storm that often. Actually, the next Pokemon I'll be discussing is like the main GX attack that I've used. Wishy-Washy. I found, first of all, the main reason it's in here, Blue Surge. Against Gardevoir. Gardevoir's a kind of a bad matchup too if you're attacking with Keldeo a lot, because you have to stack so much energy on Keldeo to one-shot stuff, but then they just go 1 energy, Infinite Force, knock you out because you have like 6 or 7 energies. But Wishy-Washy takes care of Gardevoir pretty well, actually. Blue Surge, 5 energy, 220 damage, and then you move all energy attached to this Pokemon to your bench in any way you like. Now, with the Muscle Band, you hit 240, so that one-shots a Gardevoir. Without it, you do 220, fall 10 damage short, a little unfortunate, but Muscle Band, you get a knockout on Gardevoir, and then you take all the energy on it and move it to your bench Pokemon, so it's a lot harder for them to get a return knockout on you. And then if you have to, you just Keldeo, rush in, retreat. Excuse me. Another situation where I've had this come in handy a lot is Water Gun. 1 energy, 20 damage. Again, Muscle Band, plus 20. You just one-shot Joltix. And that's pretty much it, but you got a 210 body that's just one-shotting Pokemon if they're relying on their Joltix, which can come in handy sometime, especially since they will have to hit 220 unless they're playing Choice Band. Do they play Choice Band? I don't remember. Which can sometimes be kind of hard to hit. And then there's some other basic just like support Pokemon. We're of course still playing our Lele's, which can also be a decent attacker. Because of our Deluge, you just stack a bunch of energy on there. But really, this is just here mostly to find Archie's ace in the hole. You can Ultra Ball the last 2 cards in your hand, find Lele, find Archie's, play Archie's, and then you just keep going. And then, yeah, I've gone over the ability and the attack. Execute, it's another really handy card in this deck. There's a lot of cards that require discarding cards. We do play a computer search, 4 superior energy retrieval, we got a 4 ultra ball, and that's all the cards that require discarding. But this can help fix the numbers, like the number of cards in our hand. Like sometimes I've had 2 of these in the discard but only gotten 1 back because I needed that 1 less card to get the Archies off turn 1. So this can help adjust the numbers in your hand, or it can just get free ultra balls and whatnot. And then you have Shaman. This kind of serves 2 functions. One is turn 1, if you just don't have the right cards in your hand to get the Archies off, you can hopefully get some cards down to like 1 or 2 cards. If you can't get to 1 card, obviously, you just play the Shaman, redraw, hopefully get a new hand that'll get you there. Or if you've already gotten the Archies off, you play Shamans just to help dig for more energy to attach to your Pokemon to just get it start attacking turn 1. And then I guess you can Sky Return, but obviously it's just here for the card draw. That's all the Pokemon for the deck. I'll go ahead and go over the supporters. Obviously the 2 Archies Ace in the hole. You don't want more than 2 really, and obviously really you just need 1, but you play the second one just in case 1 gets prized, and then anything more than that's kind of too much. It's very unlikely that you get 2 prized. So 1 Lysander for when you do actually get off your Archies and then you just want to start taking 2 prize knockouts. You Lysander, you can start Versus Seekering for them. We played 4 Versus Seekers, of course, we're expanded. 1 N and 2 Juniper. You don't want to play these like early on. Like, of course you want to get Archies as early as possible, but these are like for the late game. This obviously if you just need to find more energy to attach. This if you have a bunch of good cards in your hand that you just don't want to discard, or if your opponent got a fast start and they started taking prizes. But it is not too often that you'll play these. And then that's also supporters. Really, you don't play a lot because you want to just maximize your chances of getting the turn 1 Archies. And the more supporters you have, the less likely that is. We do play a ton of items though. I'll go ahead and do the tools first. You have 1 Floatstone and the 2 Muscle Band. You don't want to do too many tools because if you don't have the Pokemon to attach them to turn 1, they're just sitting in your hand and you can't really get them out of your hand for the Archies. 4 Acrobike because it just helps you dig through the deck to find your combo pieces like the Archies, the Ultra Ball, whatever you need. 4 Battle Compressor just because it's one of the cards that you can just play at any point in the game, just dump it out of your hand. Turn 1 if you need to get the Archies off. But obviously we want stuff like Blastoise in the discard, we want Execute in the discard. Early on I'll put 1 Archie's Ace in the hole in the discard if none of them are prized. You can also send some energy to the discard for superior energy retrieval. You discard 2 cards, grab 4 of your energy, put them back in your hand, and then usually you're doing this after you get the Archie's Ace in the hole off, so you're just grabbing 4 energy and then immediately attaching them to something. Let's see, obviously we're playing a computer search because we're trying to dig for key cards early on. 1 Field Blower, I tried 2 in here originally, but I found there was just too many situations where turn 1 and 2 I'm trying to get my Archie's Ace in the hole off and I just can't get rid of the Field Blower because my opponent doesn't have any tools in play because I'm going first. So obviously you can just say, oh, wait till the next turn, but you want to try to get this going as early as possible. I went over superior energy retrieval. 4 Trainer's Mail. This is kind of in the same boat as Acrobike, where it helps you dig for whatever you need at the time. But worst case scenario, it's a card that you can just play and fail to find in case like you have like Archies and Trainer's Mail in your hand. you can just play the Trainer's Mail, fail to find, and then just play the Archies. And then Ultra Ball, get your hand down by discarding 2 cards. You can grab whatever card you need. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Ultra Ball is just a generically good card. And then we play 11 energy. I have run into scenarios where there's too many energy in my opening hand and I can't get the Archie's Ace in the hole off turn 1, which is kind of unfortunate. But then again, you need to find like a pretty decent amount of energy to keep attacking, because pretty much everything in the deck requires 3 or more energy, besides Lele if you're trying to attack with that, but then you'll probably want more than 2 energy anyway. So this number can change. Some people might do less, some people might do more. It's all kind of personal preference. But I've rambled on about this deck long enough. I'm going to start playing some games with it. A link to that will be down in the description. Be sure to check that out. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, stay jolly.